coronavirus, we're doing this program remotely. I hope you understand. And we wanted to give you some information about the corona vaccine that's going to be distributed very soon, and when we think that everyone's going to be included. We don't have the specific date yet, but we think a good date might be December 28th, and we're going to do this entire community in one day. So that includes all the employees and all the staff that work here all in one day. And so we're going to make that information available to you, and we'll send that out to you so you'll know where to show up and all that kind of thing. Our pharmacy is partnered with Walgreens Pharmacy, and they're going to come provide the vaccine and store it at the proper temperatures and do all the administration part. There'll be a clinic over in the Carolina room across the South Village. There'll be one in the auditorium and then also another one in the health center. So all that information will be coming to you so that you'll know when we're going to do the vaccine. So what I'd like to do is introduce Sarah Wiesner. Sarah Wiesner is the pharmacist, registered pharmacist for Medipac Pharmacy, and she's our representative for Medipac Pharmacy. And she's been doing a series of educational programs regarding the coronavirus, and so I just want to introduce Sarah and let her give you some of the facts about the vaccine.
Okay, so again, my name is Sarah, and I am the clinical director with Medipac Pharmacy. And so what I want to do today is hopefully give you guys some information on the vaccine, how we got here with the vaccine, and what the vaccination process in the clinics are going to look like. So to start with, there's a whole lot of information out there, some of it good, some of it is a little misleading. So my goal today is just to give you some fact-based information so you can make an informed decision about whether or not you want to take the vaccine. So there's two companies that are at the forefront of the vaccine program. That's Pfizer and Moderna. As all of you have probably seen in the news, Pfizer has been approved with an EUA, which is an emergency use authorization, through the FDA for their vaccine to be produced and administered. So that started shipping out last night, and certain states have already received that, and we have hospital systems that are already vaccinating as we speak. The Moderna vaccine is about 7 days behind that. We should see approval for the Moderna vaccine the end of this week and distribution to start over the weekend to arrive in the states as early as Monday the 21st. In North Carolina, any resident of a long-term care community and any healthcare worker has been slated to receive the Moderna vaccine if they choose. So that's the vaccine that we will be using in our clinics, is the Moderna vaccine. Efficacy-wise, they're the same between Pfizer and Moderna. Moderna is just easier in transportation. It doesn't require quite as cold of storage, so that's why we're going to use that in long-term care. So that's across the state of North Carolina. All long-term care facilities will be receiving the Moderna vaccine. The Moderna vaccine is separated, it's 2 doses separated by 28 days. So you'll receive your first dose, and then 28 days later, you will receive your second dose. When we schedule the clinics, we will go ahead and schedule both days, so you will know when you're going to get your first shot and when you will get your second shot. There's a lot of information out there about whether or not this vaccine was rushed to market. Was it done too quickly? Is it safe? Is it effective? And so I just want to take a couple minutes and go over some information about that. Your traditional process of approval for any drug or any vaccine is 18 to 24 months. As we all know, we did this in 11 months. The reason we were able to do this in 11 months is not because we cut any corners related to the studying, the safety and efficacy profile. We were able to cut out the corners of funding. So most vaccines might take 8 to 12 months, maybe 18 months, to gather enough funding to be able to move into phase 3 trials. The federal government provided the funding for this vaccine, so they did not have to go and spend all that time gathering the funding. They were able to go right into phase 3. Phase 3 is where we do our large studies in the human population. Most phase 3 products, drugs, vaccines, whatever it is, they have anywhere from a couple hundred to a couple thousand participants. The coronavirus vaccine, we had 75,000 participants. So we had roughly 20 to 25 times the normal amount of people participate in the study itself. This gave us much more robust information. So we had a whole lot more people involved. They were able to make a lot bigger, they were able to survey a larger group of people, and that was able to give us more information on the side effects. So with that being said, we studied more people than we normally study, but we studied it for the same amount of time. Most phase 3 trials last that 6-month mark, 3, 6 months. This lasted 6 months. So the phase 3 trial has been ongoing for 6 months, which has given us all the data that we currently have. What it found is when we finished the trials, the phase 3 trial ended. Basically, the efficacy is 94 to 95% effective, which means that you will have a 94 to 95% chance that you will not get the coronavirus if you get the vaccine. Side effect profile was very low. The side effect profile is roughly around 5% of people that took the vaccine had a side effect, and those side effects were very mild. They were considered a headache, a little bit of arm soreness at the place of the injection. You might feel a little tired or just a little foggy for 24 hours, or you might have a low-grade fever. Those side effects last roughly 18 to 24 hours, and most of them are seen after the second injection. So you'll get your first injection, and then 28 days later, you'll get your second one. And if you were to have any side effects, if you fell in that 5%, it's most likely you would see those side effects with your second injection. Of those people that saw side effects, people that age 55 and older had very minimal side effects. So it was an even less number of people had a reaction if you're over 55, and that's very typical of what we see with most vaccines. Doesn't mean it's not as effective, it's just as effective, you just have less risk of side effects. So far, in all of the studies in the United States, there have been no long-term effects that have been shown from this vaccine. And the side effects for the short term, again, are 18 to 24 hours is all you're gonna see. So the safety profile is a very good safety profile for a vaccine. There is some information that is floating around out there in regards to who should receive the vaccine, who should not receive the vaccine. The current recommendation is that anybody that has any comorbidities is signed up to be able to receive the vaccine. The only group that it should not receive the vaccine is pregnant women. So anybody and everybody should be eligible to receive the vaccine. What have I forgotten over there, guys?
What about people under 16?
So anybody, the vaccine is approved for people 16 and older. So anybody under the age of 16, it is not currently approved for, but they do believe in the later phases that they will approve it for that. And that's just because that's who it was studied in. The average age in the studies was 58, and it ranged from 16 to 91 years of age. So the oldest participant in the study was 91. Yes. So that's kind of got us to where we are now. So that kind of gives you some background on the actual vaccine itself, how it works, its efficacy. The important piece is now to talk about how do we end the pandemic? How do we move towards ending the pandemic? How do we move towards going back into a quote-unquote normal quality of life? So in order to achieve any normalcy, we have to reach herd immunity. And to get herd immunity, we have to have roughly 75% of our population achieve immunity, either through a vaccine or through illness. So with this vaccine, we need 70 to 75% of our people at a minimum to take this vaccine to be able to achieve that herd immunity so that we can work towards ending the pandemic. If we can achieve that 75%, then within 4 to 6 months, experts are predicting that the pandemic will end and things will be able to go back to normal. So we really are encouraging everyone to strongly consider taking the vaccine. We're very, very fortunate in this population that we were granted the opportunity to be the first folks that can receive the vaccine. Second to hospitals, nobody else is receiving the vaccine before healthcare workers and healthcare employees and residents of a healthcare facility. So we really do encourage you to strongly consider taking that vaccine. There has been some news coverage out there about a couple of cases in Europe and in the UK where there was an anaphylactic reaction to the vaccine. And so this has launched a lot of questions. Well, if I have a lot of allergies, should I not take the vaccine? What should I do? What experts are still recommending is that unless you have an allergy to a component of the vaccine or have had a severe allergic reaction to any other vaccine, you should still take the vaccine. The media, it's very easy to focus on the 2 negative instead of the thousands of positives that have come from this vaccine. When we administer the vaccine, this is what's called a pharmacist-driven vaccine. It'll be pharmacists that are here along with nursing staff that will be administering your vaccines. We will monitor anybody and everybody that receives the vaccine for 15 minutes after receiving the vaccine and have anything on hand we might need to treat any allergic reactions on the off chance that we have anybody that has one. But the risk profile is very, very low.
Any advantage to waiting to get it?
No. So the question is there any advantage to waiting? And the simple answer is no. Again, we're very fortunate to receive this first round of vaccine, but then I can't predict exactly when more vaccine will be available for our population. So we want to go ahead and encourage you that while we have it, while we have clinics set up, please go ahead and consider to vaccinate so that we can reach that herd immunity that we need to be able to work towards ending the pandemic and to also ensure that the availability is there. If for us to achieve herd immunity without a vaccine, we would have to have roughly 2.2 million deaths in the United States. Right now, we've had 300,000. So the vaccine, our hope is that the vaccine helps us achieve this immunity while minimizing sickness and death from the coronavirus.
Should I get the shot if I've had COVID?
Yes, you should. So the question is, should I get the shot if I've had COVID? And yes, you should. If you have tested positive for COVID-19, as long as it has been at least 14 days since you tested positive, you should receive the vaccine again. The vaccine provides a longer immunity for you than your natural immunity. So just because you had the coronavirus doesn't mean that you could not get it again in subsequent months. The vaccine will prevent that. So even if you've had it, you should take the vaccine.
Will I test positive after I've had the shot?
And that's another good question. Will I test positive after I've had the shot? And the simple answer is probably, but it's going to be different with different tests. So depending on which type of test you are tested with, you could test positive for the coronavirus after you've had the vaccine. However, we will be sending out some more guidance, and some more guidance will be released on which test will be appropriate to use for people that have been vaccinated. At the time of vaccination, you will receive a card that will show the date that you received your first vaccination and the date that you're due to receive your subsequent vaccination. So you will be able to keep those on hand for you to use.
Will the vaccine make me sick? Is it a live virus?
So the vaccine is not a live virus. So the vaccine is made with technology that's been around for around 30, 35 years. So it's new in the format of giving in a vaccine, but it's not new technology. So they've had a long time to study the effects of this technology. And what they have done is basically they have taken a piece of the virus and modified it, and that is what you receive in the vaccine. It is not the actual virus. It is not a live vaccine. You cannot contract coronavirus from the vaccine. It just tricks your body into recognizing it, thinking it's already been infected with it, and being able to attack it if it ever sees it again.
Do you get worse side effects on the second shot?
So with the side effect profile, as I kind of mentioned, you see those typically with that second shot, not with the first shot. But again, that's only in the 5% of people that were under the age of 55 that received it. And those folks over the age of 55 have an even less chance of receiving those side effects.
How long will it last?
So that's a really good question. A lot of people ask, how many times am I going to have to get this shot? Is this something I'm going to have to do every year like a flu shot, or is this a one-time shot? So this is something that, as of right now, we don't know the answer to this. So there's two things we don't know the answers to. This is one of them. Will we be able to just get this one round of shots and never to have another coronavirus vaccine? The simple answer to that is if the coronavirus doesn't change, then this vaccine would provide us immunity, lifelong immunity. If the coronavirus changes like the flu virus does every year, we will have to get a new vaccine every year, just like we do with the flu vaccine. The second thing we're not sure on is if I get the coronavirus vaccine, can I still take the coronavirus and give it to somebody else, even though I'm not infected? They don't know the answer to that, so cautiously, if you receive the vaccine and you're around someone who has not received the vaccine, you should still take all precautions to make sure that you don't make them sick until we have more data about it.
I know if you wanted to address the general economy.
Yes, so and I think it's important, we want to make sure that the residents of our communities are protected. That's why healthcare workers are some of the first people that are going to be able to receive the vaccine, but we also want to protect our actual community, even outside of this community. So it's very important. The only way we can help progress towards normalcy and businesses staying open and us being able to have that quality of life we're used to and people's livelihoods staying intact is we really need to achieve that immunity. So that's really why we're trying to get to that 75% acceptance of the vaccine so that hopefully we can continue to move forward instead of backwards.
So they're going to sign the consent form, and then we need Part B information. If they don't have Part B, then we take their other insurance information. If they don't have insurance, they still get the shot.
Correct. So at the time of vaccination, over the coming days and weeks, you will be getting an acknowledgement form, a consent form, that will have some instructions on what you will need to have. That will need to be filled out and brought with you, along with a copy of your insurance card. So if you have Medicare Part B, I will need a copy of your Medicare Part B, as in boy, card. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, I just need a copy of your Medicare Advantage plan card. And then if you don't have any other, if you do not have insurance at all, or you don't have any coverage, or you don't have your card, nobody will be turned away. So everybody will be able to be vaccinated, regardless of payer type. There is no cost for the vaccination. There's no out-of-pocket cost. It is completely free. Yep, so the question was if you have a lot of, are there medication interactions with this, or are there disease state contraindications, and the simplest answer is no. There is no interaction with any medications that we're aware of, and there is no disease state that anybody would have that should stop them from getting the vaccine. If you have breathing issues, if you have asthma, if you have COPD, you're actually more highly recommended to get the vaccine because the risk of the virus is so severe in patients that have those other comorbidities that the vaccine has a much, much better safety profile than you got achieving immunity through the virus. All right. Thanks, everybody. If anybody comes up with any questions, just please, you guys can get that to either Brandon or Carrie, and I'm happy to answer them.
No, Brandon's going to say a couple words.
Yeah. I was just thinking my question.
Hey, y'all, thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back on Wednesday to do our town hall meeting, but this is going to be way more informative than anything I could ever talk about. Sarah's a very, very smart lady, and we couldn't ask for anybody better to be here to go over this stuff. This is like the 8th time she's done an education session today. We've met with every department one-on-one and gave the same presentation, and I was able to answer some questions for them. We're at time constraints today. We've got to have a follow-up meeting here in about 10 minutes, so we've got to roll out some stuff of how we're going to make all this stuff happen. But she's been here all morning, started the day off with a Zoom call with just the executive staff or the senior staff, and has been here all day talking to staff members and answering questions. And the whole idea is for everybody to hear all of this and to think now, why would you not get the vaccine? So I want to just ask everyone to think about everything that Sarah said. The only 2 things that could possibly go wrong that we know of, that there could be some possible side effect from the second vaccination of you being a little sore, just like any other shot, having a headache, or feeling kind of sluggish. So that is a very minimal thing to pay to everything that we went through this year. And as Sarah said, it's only for the 55 and below group that gets that. So I know that you guys are actually older than 55, so that is we got that going for us. So that is a great thing. So there's really even less to be worried about taking the vaccine at this point. Again, as she said, this is the absolute only way that this is going to stop. Y'all have been through other things before, like polio, and had to get vaccinations for that, and it was mandatory to stop that terrible disease. So this is no different. I think Sarah hit on a lot of great points of things about the funding and how it got approved so much faster. But again, we're very lucky to be able to have this vaccine before for everybody. And the only reason that all of y'all are going to be able to have it and all the staff that do not live or work in the health center is because the nursing home, the skilled licensed nursing home, the Stewart Health Center, is attached to the entire community. So if you lived in a standalone independent living community or a standalone assisted living community, you would not be getting the vaccine as early as possibly the Monday after Christmas. You would be in the second wave. So we are very, very fortunate to be in that first wave of people to get the vaccine. So just remember that. That is a great thing for all of y'all to protect yourself. If you're like me, and we've talked about this before, I'm ready for this to be over. This has been the worst 10 months of my 15-year career, and I can't imagine anything being much worse. I'm ready to see y'all again, give you a hug, shake your hand, have lunch with you. I'm ready to give my mom a kiss on the cheek and see my sister and do things we hadn't been able to do for almost a year. And I know that y'all feel the same way. And we've had a lot of unfortunate restrictions we've had to put on y'all, but y'all know why it's happened. Some of it's been mandated. Some we thought it was for the best of Springmore. And I think we've done really well to date. We'll knock on wood, 0 independent residents with cases. It's about 480 of y'all today. So that is pretty amazing, but it could happen any second. We've had some unfortunate things happen in the health center. There's been a lot of staff. So again, just taking everything Sarah said and thinking about why at this point, after everything she said, why would you not take the vaccine? Again, it's the only way that we're going to end this. And even if we do it, it's going to be 4 to 6 months before that even happens. So if everybody prolongs, it's going to be another year. So please strongly consider. We hope that you will. I know that Dr. Edmondson, our medical director, is all for it, and all the other practitioners and doctors we use here. So thank y'all for tuning into this. We're going to send this YouTube link out to the family members and to staff. So, all right, we'll talk to y'all on Wednesday.
So just wanted to end by telling you that we're not able to accommodate questions from you right now due to the corona situation and the way we got it structured this time, but we are going to schedule this program on YouTube. Isn't that right, Daniel? We'll have a YouTube link. We'll make that available to you so you can watch this program again. And then also, it's going to be on the portal starting tonight. So you'll be able to watch the program on that too. Yeah, we'll schedule it on 1341 as well. All right, so thank you very much.